There might be a civil war brewing in the GOP over the role that Donald Trump should play in the party. But when it comes to helping Americans financially struggling to survive, the GOP is united in saying no, and that was the clear message that was sent early Saturday morning when not a single House Republican voted for President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion pandemic aid package. The bill was approved by the House's Democratic majority, and if enacted by the Senate, it would provide most Americans with up to 1,400 in direct stimulus payments, along with other help like funding for vaccine distribution and the reopening of schools. The reasons given by the House Republicans for the rejection of the bill combines so much of what we've come to expect from today's GOP, namely lies and hypocrisy. The House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy summed up the party line when he falsely lied on Faux News, saying that this is supposed to be a COVID relief bill. Only 9% of it goes to COVID. This baseless 9% claim was repeated by numerous other House Republicans to justify callously turning their backs on Americans in need. McCarthy and these other Republicans must know that the 9% is a lie, given that fact checkers had ripped it to shreds as misleading in the days before Saturday's vote. These Republicans dishonestly claim that just 9% goes to fight the pandemic because only $160 billion of the $1.9 trillion package directly funds vaccinations, testing, and other specific virus containment efforts. But every American needs to know that this bill also seeks to address the economic pain that COVID-19 has wrought upon millions by including other healthcare spending, like extending the paid sick leave and subsidizing insurance coverage for those who have lost their jobs. Currently, there are more than 19 million Americans receiving some form of unemployment assistance, and this past Thursday, 730,000 Americans had filed for the first time unemployment claims, nearly 4 times the 200,000 average claims that were filed a week during the pre-COVID-19. Given that the unemployment spike and business closures caused by the virus, millions of Americans report not having enough food to eat, including a distressing spike in children going to bed hungry. There's a straight line between the COVID-19 related economic downturn and the roughly 6 million more Americans who applied for the food assistance in 2020, which is a 17% increase from the year before. For the record, 10 Senate Republicans did offer their own relief bill, but it was less than one-third of the amount of Biden's COVID-19 plan. And with lower direct stimulus payments, only $20 billion for school reopening, versus the Biden's $130 billion and no rental assistance aid, among other things. Consequently, Biden rejected it. The COVID-19 relief bill that was passed Saturday addresses that more and more by including approximately $420 billion for the 1,400 direct stimulus payments to individuals, and then plus the $350 billion to extend unemployment benefits, some of which is due to end in March, and another $130 billion. 7% of the bill is funding for public schools to reopen. There's also funding to expand healthcare subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, an additional $47 billion in the small business aid via the various programs, $19.1 billion to help people pay their back rent, increased funding for food stamps, benefits, and more. I'm sure you get the fucking idea. Overwhelmingly, the funds are able to help Americans whose lives have been turned upside down by this fucking pandemic, and the House Republicans have to know this, but they don't give a shit. Then there's the overpowering stench of hypocrisy emanating from the GOP's opposition to the relief bill, but claiming that it would add to the deficit. These included the same politicians who supported the 2017 GOP tax cut that was projected by the Congressional Budget Office to increase the national debt by $1.9 trillion by 2028. Alabama Republican Representative Mo Brooks, for example, gleefully supported the 2017 tax cut, but now opposes the COVID-19 relief bill because he called it a debt junkie. While the COVID-19 relief bill is targeted to help Americans hit hardest by the pandemic, the 2017 tax cut helped the wealthy over the middle and lower class. In fact, by 2027, that GOP cut is expected to result in the top 1% receiving roughly 83% of the tax cut benefits if there are no changes in the law before them. This GOP boondoggle for the rich, which people like Representative McCarthy sold to the American people with false statements like every American would get a tax cut if the bill is passed, also included the other goodies for the wealthy, such as raising the exemption for the estate tax from 11 million to 22 million, sorry. And why would Republicans oppose this desperately needed COVID-19 relief bill? It appears the Republican Party's own cold calculations have concluded that opposing this measure is good for them politically, which it's not. despite 68% of Americans supporting the Biden COVID-19 relief bill in a recent Quinnipiac poll. GOP House representatives apparently believe that their base would rather have the red meat of fighting Democrats than the extra red meat that this relief bill could provide them the funds to afford. Tragically for our nation, today's GOP is more concerned with rejecting Democratic proposals than with helping Americans in need.